Right then, yes, Book of Codes. That's what we're going to do today. So the Book of Codes is actually one of the founding principles of network healers. So let's start. So we're on lesson 30. Can you believe it? We've got 42 lessons, if you remember. We're getting towards the end of the theory now. This screen you see at the start of pretty much every PowerPoint. So on the right here, you can see the daffodil, which is the symbol for network healers, symbol of healing and rebirth. And these are the 6 petals, and then which each have got a founding principle on each petal, and then the 7th principle is in the middle, which is awareness, of course, the source. But as you can see, Book of Codes is on one of those petals. Book of Codes is one of the founding principles of network healers. So let's talk about the Book of Codes. So what we're going to do today is we are going to talk about the general concept of the Book of Codes. I'm not going to present to you the Book of Codes because it's not written yet. We've kind of started writing it, but it's a long-term project, many years of work that it's going to take. So really this lesson is about presenting the idea to you and show what it's for and how it's going to work, and then also how we're going to create it. So there'll be about 45 minutes of this and of presentation, and then we're going to go into some practical exercises which are called Vinaya Visions, which we've talked about Vinaya Visions before, didn't we? In the Higher Mind Healing lesson, and you guys tried some as well. So we're going to do more of that because that's really integral to writing the Book of Codes. So what is the Book of Codes? Well, in a nutshell, a code will describe the programming in healing energy. So I'm going to go through all this again just to remind you in this lesson. But basically, healing energy has a programming attached to it. Tells it what to do. And there's all sorts of information in that programming, and we're going to distill that information down into just a single code. That's the idea. And then we're going to use that code. We're going to use it in network healers, and we're also going to use it in golden energy healing. Now, golden energy healing is our system, the Aya system of intention healing. And we've got 2 lessons on it coming up next week. And it's also the system that we're going to teach to the general public to teach everybody how to do energy healing with hands and lots of other methods. So we're going to use the code in both of those systems. But it is an ongoing and future project. So that's very important to understand. There is no Book of Codes yet. This is just a concept. So it has to be a lesson in the fast track because we have to all understand what it is and what it's going to be, because it's going to be network healers that actually create this Book of Codes. Right, so let's wind back a little bit and just give you a few reminders about a few things. Let's start with golden energy. So what is golden energy? Well, if you remember from the anatomy lessons, right at the start of the anatomy lessons, we talked about the structure of energy. We talked about atoms and molecules, didn't we? And we also talked about magnetic fields and the structure of magnetic fields. So I'm just reminding you here that a magnetic field, and golden energy is just magnetic fields, of course. So the actual structure of magnetic fields is little bubbles of energy. Negative, positive, negative, positive. It's a little vibration of positive and negative energy. And the faster it vibrates, the higher the frequency of that magnetic field. The slower it vibrates, the lower the frequency. And these little bubbles are arranged in patterns in a magnetic field. And these little patterns that you can see on the screen here, they're called Metatron's cube, with a little spiral going around the outside. So the cube, the little star shape, that's what a Metatron's cube is, because it's actually 3-dimensional. It's not actually flat. It looks flat because it's on the screen, but actually that's a cube, that is. And it's the bubbles that are arranging themselves in a different pattern in this cube shape. And then these bubbles have a life cycle and then get repeated everywhere else in these little spirals. So if you can imagine that happening super quick and everywhere, you get these little energy bubbles everywhere. And in fact, empty space is a magnetic field. Empty space is a type of energy. It's a magnetic field. That is known to science, by the way. It's called vacuum energy or zero-point energy. So empty space, spatial dimensions are created by these energy bubbles. That's the highest frequency of magnetic field that you can get. Now, golden energy, though, golden energy is a mixture of all different types of magnetic fields. So all different types of frequencies of magnetic fields. So imagine these different frequencies, which remember is the speed of the vibration. That's really, really quick. Positive, negative bubbles. And then low frequency is like that, a lot slower. So you get all sorts of different frequencies of magnetic fields. And golden energy is a mixture of all of those magnetic fields. And that's what we breathe in, of course, through our chakras. If you remember that, through the anatomy lessons. Golden energy is everywhere around us, and we breathe it in. As we breathe, our chakras spin and pull that golden energy in, and then we use the golden energy for all sorts of things. Now, a feature of magnetic fields is that it can arrange itself in structures. This bit is not known to science yet. Magnetic fields can arrange themselves in structures. Now, it's obvious that atoms and molecules can, and that's just energy. An atom, the atoms that our bodies, material bodies are made of, the table, everything else that has, that is solid is made of atoms. That's structures. It is a type of energy, but it's structure, obviously. Magnetic fields can also do that. And that's what our energy anatomy is made of. Our energy body, chakras, meridian systems, kundalini systems, lower mind, higher mind. It's all made of malleable magnetic energy, which is magnetic fields clumped together, arranged in structures. Now, a very important example of these malleable magnetic energy fields is relevant to healing, of course, and this is magnetic enzymes. So we've been talking about magnetic enzymes all the way through this course, haven't we? A magnetic enzyme is a strip of energy, a strip of magnetic field, and it's got layers programming attached to it. Or it is made up of layers of programming, you could say. And these programming layers are like a set of instructions. Some people may call it an algorithm. An algorithm is just a set of instructions. That healing energy, that magnetic enzyme, which is same as healing energy, that has to know what to do. It has to know where to go. It has to know what to do when it gets there. So it's got instructions in the programming. And the programming is actually put together with geometric patterns. Sacred geometry patterns, in fact. So flower of life symbols, Fibonacci spirals, all these different types of geometry. That's kind of the language of the programming, if you like. Now, if you're into computers, then you might know something about binary. This is just an example. The language of binary is lots of ones and zeros in long lines. That's the language of computers, right? Well, in the same way, the language of subtle energy programming is these sacred geometry patterns. It's just how that programming is laid down. The information is in those patterns. So a bit more revision about magnetic enzymes. This is what magnetic enzymes kind of look like. Now, to be fair, it doesn't really look like that. But we've got to draw it somehow. Do you know what I mean? So we can only you can't actually see magnetic enzymes. So we can only be given representations of them. in our minds, and then we can then draw them out. So, this is a bit of a comical looking drawing, but this is roughly to illustrate how they are. There is a smooth side and a rough side, if you remember. Now, the big one there that you can see with all those shapes coming out of it, that's the rough side. The rough side has got lots of shapes on it, and that's what attaches onto things. If you send healing energy to something to do a job, it needs to attach onto it. That's the rough side. So it's got all those shapes, three-dimensional shapes where it can actually attach onto something. And the shapes of those shapes are designed for whatever the job is that you've sent it to do. And then on the other side, there is a smooth side. Now, on some of those little strips, you can see the little blue side there looks a bit like a tie, and it's got a pattern on it, hasn't it? Those are the sacred geometry patterns on the smooth side, because the smooth side is all about the programming. So the layers of programming are all held on the smooth side, and then on the underside, the rough side, is where the big shapes are. So there are lots of types of magnetic enzymes. 4 that we want to concern ourselves with to start with. Deconstructive magnetic enzymes. These go and destroy something. So if you're sending healing energy to a tumor to get rid of a tumor, then it's deconstructive magnetic enzymes. Constructive magnetic enzymes, obviously, is the reverse. They build things. So if you're trying to build tissues, if you're trying to get cells to divide and then build new tissue, regrow new tissue, and maybe if you're healing a wound or something, then you use constructive magnetic enzymes. Regulatory MEs. These go and regulate things, especially things like genes, go and switch genes on and off and things like that in cells, which can do all sorts of jobs. And then modifying MEs. These go and change something. They don't destroy it or build it. They go and latch onto something and then change it in some way. A bit like an example here would be changing a DNA strand, removing the errors in a DNA strand to remove a genetic condition of some kind. So you've seen that before. Just wanted to remind you as we're going through this lesson. But this lesson is more about programming, really. So when we are programming these magnetic enzymes, because as you learned in one of the previous lessons on energy healing, we can program these with the mind. We can program it through intention or non-intention. There's those 2 types of programming. And there's different levels of detail that you can add to healing energy, to magnetic enzymes. Now, you can just send general healing energy. That's perfectly possible. And many systems of healing out there focus just on sending generalized healing energy. And, one good example here is the power of prayer. People praying for other people, for, if it's something like good health or something like that, then that's actually a form of energy healing. That's why prayer has been around for so long, really. It goes way, way back before religion took hold of the word. So there's generalized healing energy that you can send, which is just a very low level of programming. It's basically golden energy turned into healing energy at the basic level, and then you can send it to somebody. But you can add so much more levels of detail. You can get much more focused with it by adding more layers of programming. Now, we talked about all this in the last energy healing lesson. And there's a lot of difference between the lower mind and the higher mind. The lower mind programs energy through intention, thought process in the lower mind. The higher mind programs it through whatever way it does it, not through intention. That's why we call it non-intention. It doesn't use a thought process in the lower mind to do it, which is why you don't really have control over it. But both the lower mind and higher mind can produce healing energy. We know that. And they both use the guna, the energy programming organ. They've each got a separate one, haven't they? We did that in the anatomy lessons. So let's just compare them slightly, just so you get an idea of the differences between lower mind and higher mind. Now, this is a very basic comparison, and when the more we learn, the more we will, more detail we'll understand about this. So this is just to get the first impression of the differences. So lower mind healing, which is intention healing, can use deconstructing and constructing magnetic enzymes. It cannot modify things, so it can't use modifying magnetic enzyme. It can regulate some things, so regulatory MEs, the lower mind can do some bits of that. I'm not sure exactly which bits yet. I'm sure we'll find this out through our process of writing the book of codes. Lower mind can use colors as bases, so you can use intention healing with colors, that's for sure. Done that before in the past. But one of the downsides of the lower mind healing is that it needs constant repetition. And this is the same with all magnetic enzymes, really. It needs constant action. Now, the problem is with lower mind healing or intention healing is that you're limited to actually using the intention process in the mind. So you're giving a healing session to somebody, for example, and it takes half an hour. That's quite intensive, isn't it? But the problem is that's only half an hour of energy healing. When really to get the best results out of intention healing, it needs to be all day long. But no one can sit there with their hands out for all day long, can they? And especially when people are charging for it, people can't afford energy healing all day long. So it's got its limits, hasn't it? Now, some of the differences that we can talk about with higher mind is that it can do all types of magnetic enzymes and more. There are so many, we've talked about 4 types, but there's hundreds of different types, actually. We're going to find more and more and more as we go. Higher mind can do them all. And non-intention healing from your higher mind sends healing energy all the time, or it can send it all the time, because you're not sitting down and either using your hands or sending it through distance. You're not actually doing that in the lower mind. You're just going about your business in your day. And your higher mind is sending it automatically. So it can send it all the time. So that makes a huge difference. It can also send what we call primers. Primers are a piece of energy healing that you send to unblock people's chakras to allow that healing energy to get in. You can do that. It also has stronger programming, so it's much more powerful. And I don't know the details yet of this, but the actual programming is deeper. I do know some of the details, actually. It's deeper, so it lasts longer. It lasts longer and it has a much more powerful effect. It doesn't get eroded away. It's not short-lived. And that also allows it to go further distance. Actually, it's sent in a different way as well, so you can go much further. You can go all the way around the world with higher mind healing, whereas lower mind healing may be fairly restricted in terms of distance. And we're going to find all this out in detail as we go through network healers. And higher mind can do a lot more than just what I've written there. This is just to give you a flavour of the different. Okay, any questions before I carry on? So let's go to our network healers process to talk about some of this program. Now, we know about the tank because we've been doing these exercises in the last lesson on energy healing. So the tank is the first stage, and from the tank to the recipient is the second stage. And the first stage is intention healing, so lower mind healing to fill up the tank with golden energy, nondescript golden energy. And the reason why is because eventually we might actually get hundreds or even thousands of people around the world to send their energy to the tank. We might actually do that one day. And then, everybody can get involved and we can have boundless amounts of healing energy to use. Now, the second stage is from the tank to the recipient. And this is only non-intention. This is higher mind that need to do that programming. Because then we can ensure that it's higher mind level of programming that gets attached to it. So let's distill, let's have a look at some of these aspects of programming. Now, again, this is really trying to just simplify it so that we can really understand the concept. The more we learn about this over the years, the more detailed, the more complicated it will probably get. But here are some things to consider in the programming. The base color is one thing, because golden energy is all the frequencies together. And in non-intention healing, you definitely separate out the colors. Separate out the colors of the energy, and we use whatever color is good for a particular medical condition. And I made a start on this already. For example, I know that the color red is good for very dense material in the material body, like bone, dense tissues like cartilage, muscle tissue. It's better to use red because that's a low frequency energy. And distance and location, that needs to be known, of course. So that's very important. That gets added to the programming, sends the energy somewhere. And then when it gets to the recipient, it needs to get into the recipient. So we need to, first of all, know which chakra we want it to go in, and maybe add a primer to it. A primer is, as I was saying, a section of energy healing that you send first, usually white energy this, because white energy unblocks things. And it goes into the energy body and unblocks, temporarily unblocks everything, just so our healing energy can get in. Now, it is temporary, of course, because energy blockages are there for a reason. It's because of the emotional cycle. So afterwards, that person will probably carry on producing those emotions and keep blocking up. So a primer is a temporary thing, just to get your energy healing inside the person. And then, of course, one of the most important things is the healing direction. The magnetic enzymes. What are the magnetic enzymes going to do? What type of magnetic enzymes are they? Where are they going? What are they doing? What medical issue are they treating, and how are they treating it? There's a lot of information there, of course. And all that information, eventually we are going to distill into a code. And that code will represent that particular medical problem, or that particular problem that we're trying to fix. And that is what the code is that we're talking about in the Book of Codes. So the Book of Codes is going to be a book of lots of information about each condition, and then the code that corresponds to it in terms of the energy healing. So how would we apply these codes? Well, for the moment, there's a couple of different applications. The first one is intention healing, and that is the Aya Golden Energy Healing System. That one I was just mentioning, that we've got 2 lessons on that coming up, starting next week. That's our system of intention healing that we are going to be teaching to the general public. And of course, it's part of the FASTRAC course because healers have to know it. And, there's a lot of hands healing in there as well. So it's important for our healers to know the Aya method for hands healing. Now, we can use those codes in that system because you can use it with intention or non-intention. All you need is the code. And that code will actually correspond to a set of intentions. When you're using intention, it will correspond to a set of intentions. So the healer can plan their healing session beforehand. They can look at the information and look at the code, and they can plan what visualization they're going to use to program that energy as they are giving healing. So it applies to Aya Golden Energy Healing in that. And it also applies to non-intention healing, i.e. network healers. How we work in network healers, it applies to that as well, because higher mind healing, the way we're doing it, still works on the knowledge of the healer. The healer has to have the knowledge inside them for it to work efficiently. They're not going to sit down and send healing energy to anybody. That just goes automatically. But the knowledge has to be there. So they still need to know that code. So in network healers, what we'll do is we'll have medical information sheets. I've showed you one of them before. We'll have the code, we'll have the energy healing instructions, we'll have the code there. And then when you've got a healing partner with a particular condition, let's say asthma, then you go and find the code and you write it down in the Structuring the Healing Journey form. And then the rest is up to our higher minds. Our higher minds do the rest. So I just mentioned medical information sheets, didn't I? Now you've seen one of them before because it was part of one of the lessons before and part of the assignment to it. We went through medical information sheet and we went through Structuring the Healing Journey form. I think it was in the Joining Network Healers lesson. So let me just remind you, because the medical information sheets is the basis of the code, the book of codes. Starting these medical information sheets is starting the book of codes. And we've started this already. Sally and Valerie have been working on producing different medical information sheets for each condition that we've currently got in our Network Healers program. And this is going to turn into the book of codes. So I won't show you the medical information sheet now because you've seen it before, but roughly these are the sections in it. So we have the name of the medical condition. We've got a bit of an overview section in there about the medical condition. Any anatomy and physiology involved and processes involved. Basically, stuff that the healer should be aware of with that medical condition. Any possible causes of the condition. Any secondary medical issues that can be caused after having that medical problem or during, any knock-on effects. Any conventional treatments, because don't forget, conventional treatments are part of Network Healers. We are a complementary method, complementary medicine. We work with conventional medicine. And then self-healing and energy healing, a different section for each one of them. So the work has been done. That's the point here. The medical information sheet has been written and it's on file, and a code has been generated for the self-healing or energy healing. So the work's been done. So this is going to make it easy for network healers in practice, because all the network healer has to do is go and read through the medical information sheet and spend a bit of time on the energy healing, get the code, copy and paste it to the Structuring the Healing Journey form, customize it in whatever way that needs customizing. And then there we go. Because in Network Healers, it's all about the knowledge of the healer. So the healer will have to just remind themselves about the processes involved, write the code down, and then the rest is up to the higher minds. And the Golden Energy Healing System works differently, of course, but that system will have access to our book of codes, because they can look, and anybody using the Golden Energy Healing System can have the book of codes and look up a medical condition and get the code and do the same thing, but they'll be using it with intention in the mind. So they'll be using visualizations and mantras. So this here, I want to remind you exactly what we've just been saying, really. It's an ongoing future project. And the thing is, the book of codes is actually going to be written by the network healers. And how are they going to do that? Well, it's the Vinaya visions that we're talking about. We tried some examples of Vinaya visions in the last energy healing lesson, didn't we? Non-intention healing. So it's those visions that are going to give us the book of codes, or give us how those codes are created and what information goes in those codes. It's all going to be given to us through visions, through the healers themselves. So it's going to take a long time as well, many, many years, and even decades. And you could even say this might not ever finish, because the more we find out about energy healing through research and through working in network healers, the more it will change our system. So it might just be an ongoing, ever-changing project. So we're going to do some practical now. So the practical exercise that we're going to do is the same one as we did before, although we're going to do it in much more detail, and we're going to push it significantly further than we did before. But it's still the same technically the same exercise, Vinaya visions. And we're going to use the condition of asthma again as an example. So these vision exercises that you're going to do, you're just going to pretend that you've got a healing partner with asthma that your energy is going to, and you're going to see what you see. So you can start with stage 1, and that is sending your golden energy to the tank. Now you can go through these initial steps fairly quickly. If you remember last time, we actually joined brow chakras into the network as well. You can see that as well, as if you like. And so you see everybody joining with brow chakra cords, and then you see a stream of golden energy going into the tank. You can go through these quite quickly at the start though, because it's down the end. It's the end of the vision that we're trying to get to. So that's the first stage, golden energy into the tank. Second stage is tank to the recipient. This is where you see a tap with lots of streams of energy going out from the tank towards all the recipients. This is the bit where we want to start really applying the vision. Now, don't forget, you can see it any way you like. So don't try and force this particular picture on yourself. If you see something else, just go with it and see what your higher mind gives you. So the next thing is we want to actually start to focus on that stream of energy that's coming out of the tank. So try and look closer at the stream of energy that's coming out of the tank. As you do that, decide which recipient you want to see. Now, in this case, it's just an example of somebody with asthma. Okay. And hopefully your higher minds will play along with this sort of example that we're trying out. So look closely at the stream, decide who it is that you're seeing, which healing partner or recipient. Next, separate out the colors of that stream. So this is all one person still. Start to separate out the colors. Try and see which colors that you can see, and notice which colors you're seeing, or anything else, in fact, any other characteristic, anything that you're shown that you think you should note. Okay, next, follow it. Follow that stream to the recipient of healing. So you're going to find that person in your vision, and you're going to try and zoom in and see what's going on inside that person. So here's some examples, what colors are going to what medical problem. Now, quite a lot of healing partners have quite a few different medical conditions. So there may be different colors going to different things in the body. But anyway, we're using the condition of asthma. There might even be different colors going to different parts of the asthma. So just try and see what colors are going where and what they're doing exactly. That's what you need to do. And anything else that you see. Now, if you remember me showing you the booklet that I did, there's all sorts of drawings in there. And there's some stuff we still don't quite understand yet. So if you see something, it's likely to be noteworthy, so note it. And then afterwards you can write or draw your visions down. But you won't be doing that today. This is just a trial run. Okay, so that's the exercise there. Step 1, virtual tank of golden energy. I'll leave this on the screen for you. Virtual tank of golden energy. Step 2, higher mind healing going to the recipients. That's stage 2. And then step 3, determine which recipient healing energy you're seeing coming out of the tap. And note any colors down. And then step 5, follow the energy to that person, to the recipient. Try and look inside their energy body, where the different colors are going, what they're doing, anything else that you're given at all. Afterwards, write it down. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, so we will do this a few times. And I remember last time, some people were saying that 5 minutes was just not enough to get into the vision. Now, I'm not sure if that was just because that was the first time you did it. So what we want to try in this lesson is that we'll do a 5-minute one to start with, then we'll have a little chat, and then maybe we'll try a 10-minute one, see how that goes, if you need more time inside the vision, and then maybe we'll do another one as well, and we'll see. Okay, sound good? All right then. So for this one, you just want to get comfy, close your eyes, and take yourself through that set of events. If you can't remember the steps, just open your eyes and look at the screen again and remind yourself where you are in the vision. And I will time you, and the first one will be 5 minutes, okay? Okay, that's a good start. So the next one, you can even go straight to that vision. So, all these steps here that, start with the golden energy, then go to, you can actually, once you're used to doing it, just go straight to the bit that you want to see. So in the next one, maybe go straight to the colored streams and spend all your time trying to see which colors they are. If you're being given anything specific, zoom in, even in the vision, if you can, zoom in. If you're just seeing a whole variety of colors, maybe zoom right in and see if you can separate them out and see what colors you're actually seeing. Yeah, okay. Well, don't worry. I mean, this isn't the place where we need to necessarily interpret them all. This is just cracking stuff. So basically, this is why we write them down, we put them in a book, and then we think about them. We spend weeks and months, even years sometimes, actually deciphering them. So that's excellent. So for the next one, again, try and go back to the same vision exactly, and then maybe try and look at even harder. Like the one that's coming over the brain, maybe look closer at that and see if you can differentiate anything within it or what's it doing in the brain. Just try and go a little step further. Blue going to the lung area. Excellent. So again, same thing. Try and go straight back to that vision and try and see where that blue energy is actually going. Which part of the lungs? If you just go straight to the, or try and go straight to the vision, it's up to your higher mind what it gives you really. But try and go straight to the lungs and see where that blue energy is going. Is it going to the trachea? Is it going to the right lung, to the left lung? Is it going to the alveoli at the end of the air tubes, the little sacs of air? See what you think it might be doing. Anyone else? The yellow, I think, is more of a frequency that you're being shown. So why don't you, in the next one, try and zone in on the yellow and see what the yellow's doing in the lung. And maybe as a result of these exercises, we'll understand all of the different colours that are needed for asthma and what jobs they're going to do. And that will set us right up for the research project, because the research project is going to be on asthma. I wonder if that also has some sort of connotation to do with psychological blocking, because this is another thing that can happen when you send healing energy to people, that they can block it. The ego can block it, and it's a psychological blocking. Even sometimes when the person thinks they want the healing energy, they can also have psychological blocks that are blocking it. So subconsciously, the ego doesn't want it to work. If they're attached to their medical condition, for example, there will be a psychological block against it. And also, there's also the very obvious psychological block of someone who doesn't like this sort of thing or doesn't want this sort of thing and would say no to receiving healing energy. Of course, that happens as well. So I think you've been given loads of information there in that one vision. It's excellent. Okay, but on your next vision, if you want to try again, and I guess try and make it another example, just a nondescript example. See if your higher mind will play the game, and see if you can zoom into those colors that you saw, because you said you saw a variety of colors. Okay, so should we do that again? And let's do it for 10 minutes this time. So wherever you were in your vision, try and go back to where you were, and then try and expand on it and see more of those colors. And try and figure out, well, note the colors to start with, but bear in mind that you may be seeing a metaphorical color, or you may be seeing the actual frequency of energy. Right, okay. So, what you could take from that in a general sense is perhaps that part of our healing that we need to apply to asthma, and I think we've known this. I think we've got an inkling of this already, actually, when we were looking at your previous visions. Part of what we need to apply to asthma is the reduction of panic, because it's that fear of having an asthma attack that sometimes increases the chances of having an asthma attack, and everything jams up even tighter when the more panic there is. So maybe that's what that vision is showing. It's showing the effect on the brain to calm the person down. So that's great. Excellent. Who's next? Right. Okay. So there's a couple of things to mention about that. So the yellow color itself may well be a frequency, but I wonder also sometimes when you see golden energy that, and sometimes that can be mistaken for yellow, because the golden energy is actually what we give to the person after the healing session. So I haven't mentioned that yet, actually, but after, so you can send a primer, which allows energy healing to get in. Then you send the main body of energy healing with all the different colors and all the different programmings. And then at the end of the healing session, when the main body of energy is finished, you always send an ender. I call it an ender, and basically that's golden energy, because you need to fill up the person's energy body with clean, clear, fresh golden energy afterwards. So I don't know if that's maybe what you saw, because you mentioned about the vitality and the energy and stuff. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, so next time maybe just try and go into that and see if you can figure out what it's doing exactly. Then if it's generalized well-being or generalized vitality, maybe it's acting on something else in the body that's also helping somehow. Electric blue is unconditional love. Remember that. That's the heart chakra. Electric blue. Indigo is a higher frequency, which is more sort of brow chakra frequency. But yeah, but it's I remember seeing indigo and orange going to the condition of it was a lung condition. Can't remember it wasn't asthma. It was another lung condition, but it was orange and indigo. So yeah, maybe that indigo's got something to do with the lungs. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, indigo and purple are very close, aren't they? Well, actually, this is probably a good time to remind everybody that these visions don't have to be done at any particular time. Remember that you're not sending healing energy while you're doing this vision. Remember that from that, we went through that in the last lesson. These visions are not for the purpose of activating healing energy at all, because this is non-intention healing. So you can do it at any time. Anytime you sit down and think, okay, let me just have a quick look at those visions, and you can go back to it. Anytime you've got a spare 30 seconds, you can close your eyes and go, let's have a quick look at the visions. So you don't have to do it at the same time that the healing partner is sitting down and accepting healing energy. That's very important. That these are visions from your higher mind giving you knowledge. That's what these are. Excellent stuff. So hopefully you can see now how the Book of Codes is going to be written. It's going to be written through visions coming from people in Network Healers. And there's going to be a bit of deciphering to do here and there. But I'm also expecting the actual format of the code to be coming through our visions in some way. I'm not sure how we're going to write it yet, for example. I don't know what language we're going to use. I don't know if it's going to be letters and numbers. I don't know if it's going to be other strange symbols that we're going to invent. I've got no idea yet. I'm waiting to get this information from you guys, basically. But don't forget, it is a years and years project. And it will get written. It's a higher mind project, and it will get written at the right time. In the right place. So there we go. That will do for today, won't it? Excellent. Shall we call it a day then? Yeah. And we'll see you guys next week, where we're going to start golden energy healing. All right then. See you guys. Bye-bye.